Parents took $170,000 loan on my name to fund spoiled Golden Brother studies and claimed it's my responsibility. So here I am, just 23 years old, finally graduated from college and thinking I'm ready to take on the world. I mean, I worked my butt off to get through school, and I was just starting an internship. Everything seemed to be falling into place, and for once I was feeling pretty damn proud of myself. Then one day I get this email from the bank, and at first I'm like, oh, maybe it's just another one of those generic notifications, whatever. But then I actually open it, and my heart just about stops. It says I owe $170,000. 170,000 freaking dollars. I'm sitting there staring at the screen thinking, no way, this has to be a mistake. Like, how the hell could I owe that much? My entire college tuition was supposed to be around $85,000 tops, and that's if I hadn't gotten any scholarships or anything. But I did get a scholarship, so this number just doesn't make sense. I start going over everything in my head, trying to figure out where this massive number came from. Maybe they added an extra zero by accident or something? I know that sounds dumb, but I'm just grasping at straws at this point. So naturally, I start freaking out. My mind is racing, trying to figure out what to do next. I knew I'd have some student debt, sure, but nothing even close to this. I thought I was being responsible, taking out just enough to cover what my scholarship didn't. Working part-time at a cafe to keep my expenses low, all that good stuff. So where the hell is this $170,000 coming from? First thing I do is call up my parents. I'm trying to stay calm, but I'm already sweating bullets. My mom picks up and I try to explain the situation, but she's just like, oh, don't worry, it's probably just a mix-up with the bank, we'll sort it out. But she says it in that way where I know she's not really listening, Like she's already moving on to the next thing on her mind. I push a little harder, saying, no, Mom, this is serious. The bank says I owe $170,000 and I need to know why. There's this awkward pause. And then she starts saying how they did take out a loan in my name for my college expenses, but it shouldn't be that high. She tries to brush it off again, telling me not to stress out, and we'll talk about it later. But I'm not having that. I ask her straight up, did you guys take out more than I needed? Like, did you take out the full amount just in case or something? And that's when she goes quiet. I can practically hear the gears turning in her head as she's trying to figure out what to say next. Eventually, she admits, well, yeah, we took out the full amount, but it was just to make sure you had enough if your scholarship didn't cover everything. Now I'm the one who's speechless. I'm trying to wrap my head around why they would take out so much money when it wasn't necessary. I got a partial scholarship that covered a good chunk of my tuition, and the rest was covered by my job and some savings. So why did they take out $170,000? I start asking more questions, and finally my mom says something like, well, your brother needed some help too. My brain kind of short circuits at that point. My twin brother, Evan, didn't even go to college. He was too busy chasing his dream of becoming a model or some crap like that. So I'm sitting there, trying to process the fact that they took out a loan in my name and gave part of it to him. I'm pissed, but I'm also confused. I mean, who does that? Why would they put me in this kind of situation without even telling me? I start getting louder on the phone, asking her how much they gave him and why they didn't just take out a separate loan for him if he needed money so bad. But she just keeps dodging the questions, trying to calm me down and saying we'll figure it out. Figure it out? Are you kidding me? I've got a $170,000 debt hanging over my head, and she wants to figure it out later. I tell her we need to talk about this in person, and she reluctantly agrees. I hang up the phone and just sit there for a while, trying to stop myself from smashing something. It's like, I thought I was doing everything right, and now I'm being blindsided by this massive debt that I didn't even know about. I spent the next few days in this weird daze, not really sure what to do. I mean, it's not like I could just make $170,000 magically disappear, and I couldn't exactly focus on my work. Every time I tried to concentrate, my mind kept drifting back to that stupid email and the sinking feeling that my life was about to get a lot more complicated. When the weekend rolls around, I finally decide to head over to my parents' place to talk about this face to face. I'm hoping that maybe, just maybe, there's been some kind of mistake, and we can get this sorted out. But deep down, I know that's probably not the case. I get to their house, and the first thing I notice is how normal everything looks. Like, how can everything be so damn normal when I've got this massive problem hanging over me? My parents are sitting in the living room, and I can tell by the way they're acting that they know what's coming. I sit down and jump straight into it. No small talk or anything. I need to know what's going on with this loan, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. My dad just sighs and starts telling me how they were trying to do what was best for both me and Evan, and that they didn't mean for it to turn out this way. But that's not good enough for me. I push them for details, asking exactly how much they took out, how much they gave to Evan, and why they didn't just tell me about this from the start. My dad starts getting defensive, saying they always try to treat us equally, but I can't help but feel like I'm the one getting screwed here. After what feels like hours of back and forth, they finally admit that they gave Evan $80,000 of the loan money to help him out with his career. I can't believe what I'm hearing. Evan didn't even go to college, and here I am, left to deal with a debt that's more than double what I should owe. I ask them why they didn't take out a loan in his name, but they just keep coming up with excuses. His grades weren't good enough. They didn't have any other assets to use as collateral, blah, blah, blah. I'm fuming at this point, but I know yelling at them isn't going to fix anything, so I just tell them flat out that I'm not paying a dime more than what I owe for my tuition. If Evan wants to waste $80,000 on whatever, that's his problem, not mine. My parents don't take that well, and my mom starts going on about how it's my responsibility to help out the family and that I'm being selfish. Selfish? Are you kidding me? I'm the one stuck with this massive debt because they decided to bail out Evan without even asking me. I tell them that they either need to figure out how to pay back that $80,000 or Evan does. I'm not going to be the one to carry that burden. By the time I leave their house, I'm even more pissed off than I was before. I feel like my whole world's been flipped upside down, and I have no idea what to do next. All I know is that I'm not going to let them guilt trip me into paying off a debt that's not even mine. I head back to my place, but I can't shake the anger and frustration. It's like no matter how hard I try to do the right thing, I keep getting screwed over. And now I've got to figure out how to deal with this massive debt without completely losing my mind. But one thing's for sure, I'm not going down without a fight. All right, so after that disaster of a conversation with my parents, I'm sitting in my apartment just stewing. I can't let this go. There's no way I'm just going to sit back and accept that I've got this $170,000 debt hanging over my head because my parents decided to play favorites. I know I need to go back and confront them face to face, but I want to make sure I've got all my facts straight before I do. I spend the next couple of days doing some research, looking up everything I can about student loans, how they work, what my rights are, and all that stuff. Honestly, it's overwhelming as hell. I figure out enough to know that my parents took out way more money than they needed to, and they did it without me really understanding what was going on. So, I decide to pay my parents another visit. This time, I'm going in with a plan. I'm not just going to let them talk circles around me. I need answers, and I need them to understand that this is serious. I'm not their ATM, and I'm not going to be stuck paying off a debt that I didn't even benefit from. When I get to their house, everything seems normal again, which just makes me even more annoyed. It's like they're living in this bubble where nothing's wrong, while I'm out here freaking out about my financial future. I walk in, and they're sitting in the living room, watching TV like everything's fine. I take a deep breath and sit down across from them, trying to keep my cool. All right, we need to talk, I say, and they both look at me like they know what's coming but aren't thrilled about it. My dad pauses the TV and my mom just sighs, like this whole thing is such a burden on them. I start laying out everything I've found out about the loan, how much I should actually owe, and how the extra $80,000 they took out is totally unnecessary. I can see my mom's face starting to harden, and my dad's just sitting there with his arms crossed, like he's waiting for me to finish my little rant. I get to the part where I ask them why they didn't just take out a separate loan for Evan if he needed money so badly. And that's when my dad finally speaks up. He says something like, "Well, you have to understand, your brother wasn't exactly in a position to get a loan on his own. His grades weren't great, and we didn't want him to start his adult life with that kind of burden." I can't believe what I'm hearing. "So, instead, you decided to put that burden on me?" I ask, trying not to let my voice rise too much. I worked my ass off to get into school, to get that scholarship, and now I'm the one who has to pay for Evan's career? My dad's getting defensive now. He starts talking about how they've always tried to support both of us equally, and that they didn't mean for it to turn out like this. But it doesn't feel equal to me at all. It feels like they're using me to cover for Evan's failures. I tell them, point blank, that I'm not going to pay back the $80,000 that they gave to him. My mom's face goes white and she starts to tear up, but I don't let that get to me. I know what she's trying to do. She's trying to guilt trip me, make me feel like I'm being selfish for not wanting to take care of my family. But I'm not falling for it this time. She starts in with the whole "we did this for the family" speech, saying that they were just trying to make sure Evan had a chance to succeed, just like I did. But I fire back, asking her how giving Evan $80,000 to blow on who knows what is the same as me using the money to actually get an education. She doesn't have a good answer for that, so she just starts crying harder. My dad, of course, steps in to defend her, saying that I'm being too harsh, that I don't understand the pressure they were under. But what about the pressure I'm under now? I'm the one who's going to be stuck paying this off for who knows how long. They don't seem to get that. We go back and forth like this for what feels like forever. They keep trying to justify what they did, and I keep shooting down their excuses. I'm getting more and more frustrated, but I'm trying to keep it together. I don't want to lose my temper, but it's hard when it feels like they're just not listening. Finally, I decide to change tactics. I tell them that if they don't pay back the $80,000, I'm going to have to take legal action. My dad's eyes go wide at that, and my mom looks like she's about to have a meltdown. They start begging me not to do anything drastic, saying that it'll ruin the family if I go down that road. But I'm done with their guilt trips. I tell them that they either need to figure out a way to pay back that money, or I'll have no choice but to protect myself. I can't afford to let this debt ruin my life just because they decided to favor Evan over me. My mom finally speaks up through her tears, saying that they'll try to come up with a solution. But I can tell she's just saying that to get me to calm down. My dad's still in shock that I'd even consider taking legal action against them, but he doesn't argue anymore. I think he realizes that I'm serious, that I'm not going to back down. I get up to leave, and as I'm walking out the door, my mom calls after me asking if I'm really going to go through with this. I just turn around and say, if it comes down to it, yeah, I will. Then I leave, not looking back. As I'm driving home, I start to feel this weird mix of emotions. I'm angry, obviously, but I'm also sad. I didn't want things to come to this, but what choice do I have? My parents put me in an impossible situation, and now I have to figure out how to get out of it. It sucks, but I know I have to do what's right for me. By the time I get back to my apartment, I'm emotionally drained. I just collapse on the couch and stare at the ceiling, trying to make sense of everything. I know I'm in for a long fight, and I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but I'm ready for it. I have to be. I start thinking about the next steps, what I need to do to protect myself legally, how I'm going to keep my head above water financially, all that stuff. But mostly, I'm just exhausted. I didn't expect this to be easy, but I didn't think it would be this hard either. As I lie there, I realize that this is just the beginning. There's a long road ahead, and I'm going to have to stay strong if I want to come out on the other side. But at least now, I know what I'm up against. And I'm not backing down, no matter what. After that confrontation with my parents, I realized I couldn't just sit around and wait for them to magically fix this mess. If I've learned anything from all this, it's that they're not exactly the take responsibility type. So I decided I needed to take matters into my own hands and really figure out what happened with this loan. There's no way I'm letting this debt ruin my life, especially when half of it was used to bankroll Evan's partying or whatever he did with it. First thing I do is dig through all the paperwork I can find. I know it's not exactly thrilling, but I'm desperate. I need to see if there's any way I can get out of paying that extra $80,000. I start pulling out every document I have, loan agreements, bank statements, emails, everything. I'm not even sure what I'm looking for, but I figure the more I know, the better. As I'm going through all this, I start noticing things that don't add up. Like, I have these bills from college that show my tuition fees, but they don't match the amounts on the loan documents. There's a huge difference between what I actually owed for school and what was taken out in my name. It's frustrating as hell because it's becoming clear that my parents really did take out way more than they needed to, and they didn't even tell me about it. But what really pisses me off is when I find out how they got access to my bank account. Back when I was 18, I was pretty clueless about how all this stuff worked. I mean, who really knows about loans and bank accounts when you're just trying to figure out how to be an adult? So when my parents told me to sign some papers, I didn't even think twice about it. I just trusted them. Big mistake. I find out that they had me sign over access to my bank account so they could manage my funds while I was in college. At the time, it seemed like no big deal. I thought they were just trying to help me out, make sure I didn't overspend or anything. But now, looking at these documents, I see that they used that access to take out the extra $80,000. They didn't even ask me. They just did it. I'm starting to feel like I've been played. Like, they knew I didn't understand this stuff and they took advantage of that to do what they wanted. I'm getting angrier by the minute, but I also feel this deep sense of betrayal. These are my parents, the people who are supposed to look out for me, and they've just put me in this impossible situation. But I'm not giving up. If anything, this just makes me more determined to find a way out of this mess. I start looking up information online, trying to figure out if there's any way to reverse what they did. I know it's a long shot, but I have to try. I learned that it's possible to challenge unauthorized transactions, but it's complicated, and there's a time limit on how long you have to file a complaint. I'm worried that too much time has passed, but I keep digging. While I'm doing all this research, I also start thinking about what I'm going to do about Evan. He's been skating by while I'm dealing with all this crap, and I'm not okay with that. I know he's my brother, but I'm tired of being the one who always has to clean up his messes. It's time for him to take some responsibility too. I decide I'm going to confront him directly. Enough of letting my parents protect him from the consequences of his actions. I want to know what he did with the money, and I want to see if there's any chance he'll step up and help pay it back. I know it's a long shot. Evan's never exactly been the responsible type, but I have to try. So one night I decide to wait up for him. He usually comes home late, like after midnight, so I make myself some coffee and sit in the kitchen, waiting. My parents are already asleep, so it's the perfect time to catch him alone. When I finally hear his car pull into the driveway, my heart starts racing. I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm ready for whatever happens. He walks in, and I try to keep things casual at first. I offer him some coffee, and we start talking about random stuff, school, work, whatever. I'm trying to build up to the money conversation without just jumping into it. I can tell he's not suspicious, which is good. He's always been the type to avoid conflict, so he's probably thinking this is just a normal chat. Finally, I bring up the loan. I ask him if he knows how much trouble I'm in because of the money our parents gave him. He looks at me like he has no idea what I'm talking about, which honestly just pisses me off even more. I mean, how can he be so clueless? I lay it all out for him. The $80,000, the loan, the fact that I'm the one who has to pay it back. He just sits there, looking more and more confused. Finally, he says, "What money? I didn't get $80,000. That's when I lose it. I start raising my voice, telling him that our parents took out this huge loan in my name and gave the money to him. He's sitting there with this blank expression, and then he finally says, "Oh, that! I thought they just gave me some money to help out with stuff." Stuff. He thought they gave him $80,000 for stuff. I can't even with this guy. I ask him what he did with the money, and he just shrugs. "I don't know," he says. "I guess I spent it on, like, trips and going out with friends. You know, the usual." The usual? Are you kidding me? He spent $80,000 on vacations and partying while I'm stuck paying it back. I can't even describe how furious I am at this point. I start yelling at him, telling him that he needs to pay it back, that it's his responsibility. But he just looks at me like I'm crazy. He says something like, "It's not my fault. Mom and Dad gave me the money. I didn't ask for it." And that's when I realize that he doesn't even feel bad about it. He doesn't care that I'm the one who's going to suffer because of his actions. He's just going to keep living his life like nothing's wrong. I'm done. I can't deal with this anymore. I tell him that I'm not paying a single cent of that $50,000, and if he doesn't figure out how to pay it back, I'm going to take legal action. He just laughs, like I'm joking or something, and says, "Good luck with that." I storm out of the kitchen, not even bothering to say goodnight. I'm so angry I can't think straight. How did I end up in this mess? How did I get stuck with a brother who doesn't care and parents who think it's okay to use me like this? I go back to my apartment and collapse onto my bed, feeling completely drained. But as tired as I am, I can't sleep. I keep going over the conversation in my head, trying to figure out what to do next. I know I can't let this go, but I'm not sure how to move forward. One thing's for sure, I'm done playing nice. If my family thinks they can just walk all over me, they're in for a rude awakening. I'm not backing down and I'm not giving up. It's time. So after that whole disaster with Evan, I'm back at my apartment trying to calm down. I feel like I've been punched in the gut. It's like, no matter how much I try to make sense of all this, it just keeps getting worse. My parents won't take responsibility. Evan's acting like it's no big deal, and I'm the one left holding the bag. I'm starting to feel like I'm fighting this battle on my own, and it's exhausting. But here's the thing. I'm not the type to just roll over and let people walk all over me. If they think I'm going to pay off this $170,000 without a fight, they're seriously mistaken. I know I can't keep going on like this, just reacting to everything they throw at me. I need to take control, set some boundaries, and make it clear that I'm not playing around anymore. I decide to give my parents one last chance to make things right before I take things to the next level. I'm done with the back and forth, the excuses, the guilt trips. They either fix this, or I'm going to have to do something drastic. I know it's a risk, but I've got nothing left to lose at this point. I give them a call and tell them I'm coming over. My mom sounds all hesitant on the phone, like she knows something's up, but I don't give her any details. I just say we need to talk, and I'll be there soon. I'm trying to keep my emotions in check, but I'm nervous as hell. I don't know how they're going to react, but I know I have to do this. When I get to their place, it's the same old routine. They're in the living room, watching TV, like everything's fine. I sit down and take a deep breath. trying to figure out the best way to start. I know I can't come off too aggressive right away, or they'll just shut down. So I start off calm, laying out the situation again, explaining how serious this is. My mom, predictably, starts getting all emotional. She's saying how they never meant for things to get this bad, that they were just trying to help Evan, that they thought I could handle it. I've heard it all before, and honestly, I'm tired of hearing it. I cut her off and tell her that this isn't about Evan anymore. It's about the fact that they put me in an impossible situation and expect me to just deal with it. Then I drop the bombshell. I tell them that if they don't pay back the $80,000 they took out for Evan, I'm going to take legal action. I've looked into it, and I know I have a case. I explain that what they did, taking out more money than I needed, using my account to transfer funds to Evan, faking bills, it's all grounds for a lawsuit. And if they don't fix it, I'll have no choice but to protect myself. The room goes dead silent. My mom looks like she's about to cry again, but this time it's different. I can see the panic in her eyes. My dad's just staring at me, like he's trying to figure out if I'm bluffing. But I'm not. I'm dead serious, and I think they can tell. My dad's the first to speak. He's trying to sound reasonable, asking if there's any way we can work this out without getting the law involved. But I'm done with negotiations. I tell him that this is their mess, and they need to clean it up. I'm not going to ruin my life because they decided to gamble on Evan's future. My mom starts pleading with me, saying that they don't have the money, that they're already struggling, and that taking this to court would destroy our family. I almost feel bad for her. But then, I remember all the stress and anxiety they've put me through, all because they couldn't be honest with me from the start. I stand my ground. I tell them that I'm giving them 2 weeks to come up with a plan to pay back the money. If they don't, I'll file the lawsuit. No more discussions, no more excuses. I'm tired of being the only one who has to sacrifice in this family. My dad's starting to get angry now. He says that I'm being unreasonable, that I'm tearing the family apart over money. But I'm not letting him guilt trip me this time. I tell him that they're the ones who put me in this position, and I'm just doing what I have to do to protect myself. The conversation goes back and forth like this for a while, but I don't back down. I keep reminding them that this is their responsibility, not mine. Finally, my dad says they'll see what they can do, but he's clearly pissed. My mom's still crying, but I don't have the energy to comfort her. I know that sounds harsh, but I've been pushed to my limit. I leave their house feeling drained, but also relieved. I know I've done everything I can to give them a chance to make this right. If they don't, then I'll have to follow through with my threat. It's not what I want, but it's what I have to do. Over the next few days, I keep waiting for my phone to ring, for them to call me and say they've figured something out. But all I get are a few texts from my mom, asking me to reconsider, telling me how hard this is on them, how they're worried about what's going to happen to the family. But I don't budge. I just keep reminding her of the deadline. 2 weeks. That's all they've got. As the days go by, I start preparing for the worst. I gather up all the documents I've found, print out copies of emails, bank statements, anything that could help my case if this goes to court. I even talk to a lawyer just to make sure I'm ready for whatever happens next. It feels weird, like I'm gearing up for a battle against my own family, but I know it's what I have to do. I can tell my friends and my girlfriend are worried about me. They've been supportive, but they keep asking if I'm sure I want to go through with this. It's a fair question. I mean, who wants to sue their own parents? But I keep telling them the same thing. I don't have a choice. If I let this slide, I'll be paying for it for the rest of my life. Literally. Finally, the 2-week deadline rolls around, and I haven't heard a peep from my parents. I'm starting to think they're just going to ignore this and hope I back down. But they don't know me as well as they think they do. I'm not backing down. I text my mom one last time, reminding her of the deadline and letting her know that if I don't hear from them by the end of the day, I'll be filing the lawsuit in the morning. That night, I'm lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling like I'm about to cross some invisible line that I can never uncross. It's a weird mix of emotions: anger, sadness, fear, but also a strange sense of relief. I've done everything I can to give them a chance. Now whatever happens next is on them. The next morning, I wake up to a text from my mom. It's short, just a few lines, but it says everything I need to know. We're working on getting the money together. Please don't do anything yet. We'll talk soon. It's not exactly the resolution I was hoping for, but it's something. At least now I know they're taking me seriously. I text back, telling her they've got 1 more week to come up with a concrete plan. If they do, I'll hold off on filing the lawsuit. But if they're just stalling, I won't hesitate to go through with it. For now, all I can do is wait and see what they come up with. I'm hoping they'll finally do the right thing, but I'm not holding my breath. Either way, I'm ready for whatever comes next. This is far from over, but at least I know I'm not alone in this fight anymore. Update 1. So, after that last text from my mom, I'm left in this weird limbo where I'm waiting to see if they're actually going to pull through or if they're just stringing me along. It's frustrating as hell, but at the same time, I'm trying to keep myself grounded. I know I need to be ready for whatever happens next, whether it's them paying up or me having to take this to court. A few days pass, and I hear nothing. Not a single word from my parents, and it's driving me nuts. I keep checking my phone, waiting for a text, a call, anything. I'm trying to stay patient, but it's hard when I feel like everything's hanging in the balance. I start thinking about what this is doing to my relationship with them, how it's all falling apart, and how there's probably no going back to the way things were. Not that I'd want to, given how they've treated me, but still, it's a lot to process. Then, out of nowhere, I get a call from my dad. It's late at night, and I'm already half asleep when my phone starts ringing. I pick up, and before I can even say hello, he's yelling at me. He's going on about how I'm tearing the family apart, how I'm being selfish, and how they've done everything for me, and this is how I repay them. I try to keep calm, but I'm half awake, and his words are hitting me hard. It's like every guilt trip he's ever laid on me, all wrapped up in one angry rant. He's saying things like, "Do you really want to be the reason your mother ends up in the hospital? And Evan's already struggling and now you want to make things worse for him?" It's all the same stuff I've heard before, but it's more intense this time, like he's desperate. I let him finish his rant before I say anything. I'm trying to think of how to respond without losing my cool, but it's tough. Finally, I just tell him, "Dad, this isn't about tearing the family apart. It's about what's fair. You guys put me in a position where I have to protect myself, and that's what I'm doing." He's not having it, though. He keeps yelling, saying that I'm being unreasonable, that I'm causing all this stress for no reason, and that I should just let it go and trust them to handle it. But how can I trust them after everything they've done? They've lied to me, taken advantage of me, and now they're trying to make me feel like the bad guy for standing up for myself. I tell him that I've already given them more than enough chances to make this right, and that if they don't come up with the money, I'll have no choice but to follow through with my plans. He starts to get even angrier, but I cut him off saying, "Dad, this conversation isn't going anywhere. I've made my decision and I'm not backing down." He hangs up on me, and I'm left staring at my phone, feeling like I've just been punched in the gut. It sucks, but I know I did the right thing. I can't keep letting them guilt trip me into doing what they want. This is my life, and I have to take control of it. The next morning, I wake up to a bunch of texts from my mom. They're all over the place. Some of them are her trying to reason with me, others are more guilt trips, and a few are just flat out begging me to drop this whole thing. She's saying stuff like, "We're your parents, we would never do anything to hurt you. And Evan's your brother, he needs your support, not your anger." But I can't let myself get sucked into that again. I've been down that road too many times, and I know where it leads, me getting screwed over while they act like everything's fine. I text her back, telling her that I'm still waiting for them to come up with a plan to pay back the money. I remind her that they've only got a few days left before I take action. She doesn't respond right away, but when she finally does, it's just more of the same. She's saying that they're trying their best, but they don't have the money right now, and that I need to be patient. It's frustrating, but at this point, I'm not surprised. I'm starting to think they never planned on paying me back. They just wanted to see if they could wear me down until I gave up. A few more days go by, and I'm getting more and more anxious. I know the deadline is coming up, and I need to be ready to follow through on my threat if they don't deliver. But part of me is still holding out hope that they'll do the right thing, even though I know it's unlikely. Then, on the last day of the deadline, I get another call, this time from Evan. I'm surprised because he's been pretty quiet since our last conversation. I pick up, and he's not yelling like my dad was, but he's clearly upset. He starts off by saying that he's sorry things have gotten this bad, and that he wishes there was something he could do to fix it. I'm skeptical, but I let him talk. He says he's been thinking about what I said, and that he understands why I'm angry. He even admits that he shouldn't have taken the money without asking questions, and that he should have been more responsible with it. But then, he drops the bomb. He doesn't have any way to pay it back. He's still not making any money from his modeling gigs, and he's barely scraping by as it is. I can hear the frustration in his voice, and part of me wants to feel bad for him, but I'm also just so tired of all of this. I tell him that I appreciate him admitting that he messed up, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm the one stuck with the debt. I tell him that if he can't pay it back, then our parents need to step up and take care of it. He sighs and says he'll talk to them, but I can tell he's not optimistic. He knows as well as I do that they're not in any hurry to pay up. We end the call on a tense note, and I'm left feeling even more drained than before. It's like every time I think I'm getting closer to a resolution, something else pops up to drag me back down. The next day, I get a message from my lawyer asking if I'm ready to move forward with the lawsuit. I know that this is it, the moment of truth. Either my parents come up with the money, or I'm taking them to court. I send one last text to my mom, reminding her of the deadline and letting her know that if they don't have the money by the end of the day, I'll be filing the lawsuit in the morning. Hours go by, and I don't hear anything. I'm starting to accept that this is really happening, that I'm going to have to take my own parents to court to get what I'm owed. It feels surreal, like I'm living in some kind of twisted reality where nothing makes sense anymore. Then, just as I'm about to give up hope, I get a text from my dad. It's short and to the point. He says they've managed to pull together some money, and they'll be able to pay me back in installments. He doesn't apologize, doesn't say anything about how they've treated me, just that they'll start paying me back. It's not exactly the victory I was hoping for, but it's something. At least now I know they're taking me seriously. I text back telling him that I'll accept the payments, but I'll be keeping a close eye on them to make sure they follow through. I also tell him that if they miss a single payment, I'll file the lawsuit immediately. He agrees, and that's that. I finally feel like I'm getting some control back over my life, but it's bittersweet. I've had to fight tooth and nail to get here, and my relationship with my parents and brother is probably beyond repair. But at least now, I can start moving forward, knowing that I did what I had to do to protect myself. It's a strange feeling, relief mixed with sadness, anger mixed with a sense of closure. But I know one thing for sure, I'm not going to let them take advantage of me ever again. This is the start of a new chapter, and I'm determined to make the most of it no matter what. Update 2. So, after my dad agreed to start paying me back in installments, I thought maybe, just maybe, things might start to settle down. I mean, it wasn't exactly the resolution I'd hoped for, but at least they were taking some responsibility. I figured, okay, we can do this, we can just move on, and I can focus on my life again. But of course, nothing's ever that simple with my family. The first few payments came through, and I was starting to feel like there was some light at the end of the tunnel. It wasn't much, but it was something, and I was holding on to that like a lifeline. I was even starting to think that, maybe in time, we could repair some of the damage that had been done. I know, I must have been out of my mind to think that. Then, out of nowhere, the payments just stopped. No warning, no explanation, nothing. I'm sitting there refreshing my bank account, thinking maybe there's been some kind of glitch, but nope, nothing. Days go by and still no sign of the money. I'm trying to stay calm, telling myself not to jump to conclusions, but deep down, I'm starting to get that sinking feeling again. I give it a few more days, trying to convince myself that they're just late, that they'll come through eventually. But as the days turn into weeks, I can't ignore the truth anymore. They're not going to pay. They've gone back on their word, just like they always do. And here I am, back to square one, with nothing to show for all the stress and heartache I've gone through. I'm pissed, like beyond pissed. I feel like they've just been playing me this whole time, trying to keep me off their backs until they thought I'd let it go. But I'm not about to let them screw me over again. I pick up my phone and start drafting a text to my dad, laying it all out. I tell him that they've missed their payment, and I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. I give them one last chance to explain themselves, but I make it clear that if I don't hear from them by the end of the day, I'm filing the lawsuit first thing tomorrow. I send the text, and then I wait, and wait, and wait. The whole time I'm pacing around my apartment trying to keep myself from completely losing it. I keep checking my phone every few minutes, but there's no response. It's like they've just decided to ghost me, hoping I'll get tired and give up. But they don't know me as well as they think they do. I'm done being patient, done being understanding. Finally, after what feels like forever, my phone buzzes. It's a text from my mom, and I can already tell from the first few words that it's not going to be good. She's saying that they're sorry for missing the payment, but things have been difficult lately, and they just don't have the money right now. She's asking me to give them more time, to be patient, to understand that they're doing the best they can. I'm reading this, and I just feel this wave of frustration and anger wash over me. I know they're not doing the best they can. They're just trying to buy more time, hoping I'll eventually let it go. But I can't let it go. I've already given them more chances than they deserve, and they've done nothing but take advantage of me. I text her back, and I'm not holding back this time. I tell her that I've given them enough time, that I've been more than patient, and that I'm done waiting. I tell her that if they don't have the money by tomorrow, I'm filing the lawsuit. No more excuses, no more delays. I'm tired of being treated like a doormat. The rest of the day is a blur of emotions. I'm angry, frustrated, but also just exhausted. I feel like I've been fighting this battle for so long, and I'm running out of steam. But I know I can't give up now. If I let them win, I'll never be able to look at myself in the mirror again. So I brace myself for what's coming next, knowing it's not going to be easy. That night, I can't sleep. I'm tossing and turning, my mind racing with everything that's happened. I keep going over the conversations, the broken promises, the lies. I'm trying to figure out where it all went wrong, but the more I think about it, the more I realize that it's always been like this. They've always put Evan first, always expected me to clean up the messes, and I'm just done. The next morning, I wake up feeling like I've been hit by a truck. I'm exhausted, emotionally drained, but I know I have to follow through. I get up, make some coffee, and start gathering all the documents I'll need to file the lawsuit. I've got everything organized, every piece of evidence, every email, every text. I know my case is solid, but that doesn't make it any easier. Just as I'm about to head out the door to meet with my lawyer, my phone rings. It's my mom. For a second, I think about ignoring it, but something tells me to pick up. I answer, and she's crying on the other end of the line. She's begging me not to go through with the lawsuit, saying that they'll figure something out, that they'll get the money somehow. I listen to her, and for a moment, I feel this pang of guilt. I don't want to hurt her, don't want to be the reason my family falls apart. But then I remember all the times they've hurt me, all the times they've let me down, and I steel myself. I tell her that I've already given them more than enough chances, and I'm not backing down. She keeps crying, keeps begging, but I just keep repeating the same thing. I'm not backing down. Eventually, she gives up and hangs up, and I'm left standing there, feeling like the worst person in the world. But I know I can't let myself get sucked into their drama again. I have to stay strong, have to protect myself, even if it means hurting the people I care about. I meet with my lawyer later that day, and we start the process of filing the lawsuit. It's surreal, sitting there in his office, signing papers that could change everything. Part of me is still hoping that they'll come through at the last minute, that they'll finally do the right thing. But I'm not holding my breath. Over the next few days, I start getting calls and texts from family members, cousins, aunts, even a couple of friends. Word's gotten out about the lawsuit, and everyone's got an opinion. Some people are supportive, telling me I'm doing the right thing, that I have to stand up for myself. Others are not so understanding. They're saying that I'm tearing the family apart, that I'm being selfish, that I should just let it go. It's hard to hear, especially from people I thought I could count on. But I know they don't understand what I've been through, don't know the full story. They're just seeing the surface, not the years of frustration and hurt that led to this point. I try not to let it get to me, but it's tough. I feel like I'm losing everything, my family, my support system, all because I decided to stand up for myself. But then I remind myself why I'm doing this. I'm doing it because I deserve better, because I'm tired of being the one who always has to sacrifice. I'm doing it because I need to take control of my life, even if it means burning some bridges along the way. And so, I keep moving forward. It's not easy, and I know there's still a long road ahead, but I'm determined to see this through to the end. I've come too far to turn back now. This is my life, my future, and I'm not going to let anyone take that away from me. Update 3. So, here we are. It's been a few weeks since I filed the lawsuit against my parents, and honestly, it's been one of the hardest things I've ever done. I never thought I'd be in this position, fighting my own family in court. But I guess life has a way of throwing you into situations you never imagined. If you told me a year ago that I'd be suing my parents, I would have laughed in your face. But here we are. The first thing I noticed after the news got out was how quickly people took sides. It's like everyone in the family had an opinion, and most of them weren't shy about sharing it. Some of my cousins reached out to say they were proud of me for standing up for myself, but a lot of the older relatives were less understanding. They kept saying things like, "Family should come first," or "You don't air dirty laundry in public." It was like they expected me to just take the hit and move on, all for the sake of keeping the peace. But what peace? My parents had already shattered any sense of trust I had in them, and Evan, well, he was still acting like this was all my fault, like I was the one who'd done something wrong. I can't even count how many times I heard the word ungrateful tossed around. They acted like I should be thanking them for everything they'd done for me, as if saddling me with a $170,000 debt was some kind of gift. The court stuff started slow, which was kind of expected. Lawyers going back and forth, papers being filed, dates being set. It's all a bunch of legal crap that makes your head spin, but my lawyer was great about keeping me in the loop and explaining things in a way that didn't make me feel like a total idiot. Still, every time I had to go to a meeting or sign something, it was like a punch to the gut, a reminder that this wasn't just some nightmare I could wake up from. It was my reality. Then, about a week ago, things took a turn. My lawyer called to let me know that my parents wanted to settle. I guess they finally realized that I wasn't going to back down and that this was going to cost them a lot more than just $80,000 if it went all the way to court. I wasn't surprised. They've always been more about saving face than actually doing what's right. But still, hearing that they wanted to settle, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders, even if just a little bit. We met at my lawyer's office. My parents looked worn down, like this whole thing had taken a toll on them too. My mom couldn't even make eye contact with me. And my dad? Well, he just looked pissed. It's like he couldn't believe it had come to this, that I was the one making them pay for their mistakes. The settlement talks were tense. My lawyer did most of the talking, which I was grateful for because I don't know if I could have kept my cool. My parents were trying to negotiate, offering less than what they owed, but my lawyer wasn't having it. He made it clear that we had a solid case and that they'd end up paying a lot more if they didn't settle now. In the end, they agreed to pay back the full $80,000, plus a bit extra for the legal fees. It wasn't a victory parade or anything, more like a hollow win. I mean, I got what I wanted, but at what cost? My relationship with my parents is beyond repair, and Evan? Well, he didn't even show up. I guess he figured it wasn't his problem anymore now that mom and dad were paying up. When we left the office, my mom tried to talk to me. She said she was sorry, that they never meant for things to get this bad, but I couldn't even look at her. I just told her it was too late for apologies. Maybe that sounds harsh, but you can only hear sorry so many times before it loses all meaning. Actions speak louder than words, and their actions have been pretty damn loud. My dad didn't say anything as we left. He just walked out, not even looking back. I stood there for a minute, watching them go, and it hit me that this might be the last time I ever see them. I mean, how do you come back from something like this? It's not like we can just pretend it never happened. Too much has been said, too many lines crossed. And honestly, I'm not sure I even want to try to fix things. Not after everything. The money came through a few days later, and I used it to pay off the last of the loan. I'm debt-free now, but it doesn't feel as great as I thought it would. There's this emptiness where my family used to be, and I'm not sure how to fill it. My friends have been amazing, and my girlfriend's been my rock through all this, but there's still that hole, you know? It's like, no matter how messed up things were with my parents, they were still my parents. And now they're just people I used to know. I'm trying to move on, focus on the future. My internship turned into a full-time job, and I'm doing well for myself. I've started looking at apartments, thinking about maybe moving to a new city, getting a fresh start. But it's hard to shake the feeling that I'm leaving something important behind, even if that something was toxic as hell. Sometimes I wonder if I made the right choice, if maybe I should have just let it go, taken the hit, and kept the peace. But then I remember how they treated me, how they used me, and I know I did what I had to do. It's just that doing the right thing doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it just feels necessary. So that's where I am now, trying to figure out what comes next, trying to rebuild my life without the people who were supposed to be there for me. It's not easy, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't have doubts. But I'm learning to trust myself, to believe that I can stand on my own 2 feet without needing their approval. In the end, I think that's what this whole mess has taught me, that I'm stronger than I ever knew, that I don't need to keep fighting for people who don't have my back, and that sometimes the only way to find peace is to walk away from the people who keep tearing you down. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I'm okay with that. I'm ready to start living my life for me, not for anyone else. And maybe that's the best outcome I could have hoped for.